But what really ended up helping me was just coming to my own rescue and realizing like I have to be my own knight in shining armor. And I had to save myself, and no one was coming. And it was up to me to really rescue myself.
Hi, and welcome to Lead Well. Another episode with a wonderful guest. Hi, Sharissa.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, absolutely. And I so look forward to this conversation because you are a pretty multifaceted woman. So you're an award-winning author, and I know you also support authors with a podcast. But not only that, so you're a nutritionist as well, and a former psychology professor, amongst everything else. And then there is something about you that you have gone through chronic illness and you have really lived what that means and how to live with such a autoimmune disease. And you managed to reclaim your health. You look healthy to me, at least, which is wonderful. And you were not chasing miracle cures, but you have combined science and self-responsibility and a deeply practical approach to self-care, which is, yeah, I love that because I truly am a science person. I believe in science. I trust science. And I always feel that if there is a scientific research behind things, then I can trust things just a bit more. And you are also an author, of course, as we heard. So your book is called The Journey Back to Health. And this book blends your personal story with some concrete tools. And then you are also the founder of 5-2 Press, supporting women who want to turn ideas into meaningful work. As I said, there are a lot of things that you're doing, and that's so great because I feel I'm a bit the same. And there is this similarity that I've seen in when we started to talk to each other. And yeah, what I would love to discuss with you is probably not all the different facets. That would be too long for just a 20 to 30 minutes conversation, but talk about healing. So where is this opportunity to heal ourselves? What do we need to do to heal? Because I think it's not just healing the symptoms. It's sometimes it really is you have to change your life. So what has that looked like for you? And when was the first moment where you realized that it was not changing a habit or two, but it was really changing your life that was needed to recover?
Well, thank you so much for that introduction. First of all, that was so beautiful. And I just want to say that even though it does seem like there's all these multiple facets of what I do, it all really is interconnected.
Hmm.
Even my teaching career and my master's degree in psychology and nutrition. So while I was in graduate school, I actually studied nutrition in young children and nutrition in adults. So even then, becoming a nutritionist later in life, like it is connected to that degree in psychology. And the reason that I even started that answers your questions just a little bit as to where the start was. And that is when I was about 11 years old, my mother got chronically ill to the point where she would be ill. She's still ill. She's still alive. But we spent most of my childhood in a hospital setting and then just always taking care of her. And not only that, at about that age, 11 years old, I started taking care of my siblings as well. So I had two younger sisters at the time, and my mom literally went to bed. From that point on, she would start to have like chronic pain and chronic illnesses that were all interconnected, but the specialists that were taking care of her ended up getting her pretty addicted to prescription medication to the point where, again, like I would really never see my mother again from that point on in my life. She was mostly in bed. When she did come out of bed, she would be having drug withdrawals, which created a monster in our home. So it was something that I almost never wanted to see her because it was so terrifying when we would have those experiences her coming down from these drug overdoses, like really truly overages. And the reason I know it was overages is because one time we were at the hospital and the doctor came in with her medication and he made a joke about if I had just mixed this one or gave her one more of these, she would die. And I was in charge at that age of giving her medication. So I was like her enabler at 11, 12, 13 years old. And I did not laugh at that joke because I had made that mistake on a regular basis. And what it turns out is that she was like pretty much immune to the drugs that she was taking at that point and continued to go up, up, and up into opiates and things like that would just really make her like not really a whole person anymore, not somebody who could take care of a family. Fast forward in my life, I'm married, I have two children, and I'm about 26 years old, and I start to get chronically ill. Ironically, this version of myself that I like promised I would never be, this thing that I would never ever do, it was happening in real time. And I was watching myself get more and more comfortable being in bed all day long while I had these two young children, which scared me more than anything. Like you can't, there's nothing scarier.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that brought up all your childhood memories.
Everything, all my greatest fears, all my failures, everything. So at that point, I had already graduated with a master's degree in psychology. I had already leaned into the research on nutrition. I was already learning about health because if you think about the pattern of being raised by a psychopathic, drug addicted mother, I went into psychology to fix my own brain and figure out why people snap and why drug addiction happens and why we can't take care of our health. All of that really points back to this childhood. And when I got sick myself, seeing myself in that's like sliding doors parallel universe of, oh my gosh, I'm the sick mom, I'm her, I'm this. And that lit a fire. Not that I needed to be, not that I even needed another fire, not that I even needed a reason. I wasn't going to be that person. I don't even have ibuprofen in my house because of pain pill drug addiction. There is no pain pill type of medication in my home. That is a fear for me. So when they started telling me autoimmune disease, chronic illness, lifetime of pain. Here's how we support you is through pain medication. No one is looking at the root of it. No one's going to the source of it. So I took my pain and my suffering into my own hands. I was very lucky at that time because I was a professor. I had this golden ticket to all the medical journals because medical journals cost money. If you want to go and read PubMed studies and see what the current research is, you might be paying $60 to $600 to read that research. They have to get paid back for the studies that they do. Because I had that email address from a university, I had the golden ticket. I could read anything I wanted to. So I dug into the research and I healed myself. I turned my own autoimmune disease within 2 years into the person that you see now. I make my bed at 6 o'clock in the morning and I do not get back in my bed until 10 o'clock at night. That's also a trigger for me. Like I don't do spend time in my bed. I don't do spend time on my couch. That would feel like I wasn't like breaking this chain that I've been working to break since I was 11 years old. So that is really what my book is about. My book is about my mom was sick. I was not going to be the sick mom. That's chapter one. I was not going to be a burden to my family. I was not going to put more responsibility on my daughters than they needed or deserved. They're children. They should get to be children. And I've kept that philosophy for them. And I healed myself and took it on as my own responsibility. Now, it took 2 years. It didn't take overnight, like you mentioned in the introduction. It was a process, a journey. And you asked the question, how did I learn how to make it one habit at a time? Trial and error and getting it wrong and trying to do way too much at one time and then feeling like I failed, even though I was still getting better. So then I started reading books. Like one of my favorite books is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And he talks about habits are formed one at a time over 20 to 60 days. So then I break it down. Okay, the kind of person that I want to be has these 15, 20 habits. I have none of them. It's going to take me 15 to 20 months to build those habits to be that person. So then you really look back on my timeline and go, okay, it took 2 years. That's reasonable. That's a reasonable thing to request of a human body to heal and recover over time.
Mm. So, what are those habits that you're now following? That you
Oh, that
established?
is so good. Such a good question. Okay, so first, right off the bat, like I make my bed in the morning. I don't get back in my bed. It's not even an option for me to go back to bed. So if I'm tired in the middle of the day, I need to ask myself, Why? I'm not getting enough calories. I'm not getting enough rest. I'm not getting enough sleep. What is it? I'm not getting enough water or minerals. Why is my body that should have perfectly reasonably capable of sustaining a day's worth of energy not able to? And that is where I get my habits from. Okay, so if it is that I am crashing in the middle of the day, then I maybe need a new habit of eating a certain amount of protein or calories around that 10, 11 a.m. mark so that I don't have that caloric crash in the middle of the day. Start studying your physiology and understand why these things are happening, and then you can build a habit off of that.
Mm.
I read a
And,
little bit
and,
every
and
day and journal
you,
every day. Go ahead.
yeah, and you make that sound so easy. But what I come across is that people know quite a few things these days about their nutrition, about the habits they should have. But there are not a lot of people who really are then able to put those habits into practice. So, what's your secret with that?
Oh, I wish I had some kind of magic trick. That was actually my graduate school thesis was why do we know what we should do and
Mm,
then don't do it?
mm,
And I wish that I could say it's like willpower or whatever, but the real truth is that we often are trying to do way too much. And in order to even fit one new habit into your life, you first have to assess what am I even doing with my minutes and see where you're wasting time. And if you are wasting time, if you're not, if your schedule is literally packed from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to bed, then the first thing you need to do is just have a little bit of grace
mm,
because you don't have time to build a new habit. Habits take time, energy, mental energy. And I often think of the research where they have the little mice or a rat in a maze and they put the cheese at the end of the maze and they're watching for brain activity. And the first time they put that mouse or the rat in the maze, they every area of their brain is lit up, like every single area is lit up.
mm,
And after they do this maze like 30 to 50, 60 times, all of a sudden there's no activation in the brain. And what that means is there was a habit built. Now it takes no energy. So we
mm,
have to recognize that as human beings, when we decide, I want to find that cheese, it's going to take every single bit of brain power to
mm,
get it the first 20 to 60 days. There has to be so much grace because it is so hard to change pathways in the brain. It is so hard to make new habits and make changes. And mostly what I see in people is that there really isn't space in their schedule to do it. There's
mm,
no time. So you're setting yourself up to feel like I failed. I didn't do it right. We can only do one thing at a time, one new thing at a time. It takes 20 to 60 days and it's going to take all the mental brain power. So if you just know that, if you just know that about yourself and you say, okay, first I have to like maybe say no to some stuff. Maybe there's something on Wednesday nights that sucks the life out of me, and I have to cut it out of my schedule in order to make space for the habits that I want to have to become the person that I want to be. And that's making hard choices. And maybe that's where the willpower comes in. But really, it's just consistency over time and being okay with being bored and planning, like setting a timer on your phone every day and then holding yourself accountable. It's not easy. And it's almost all, it's the reason why that I really don't fault people for not changing. I look at someone and I just go, oh, you can't change? Yeah, that makes sense. It's very hard. You probably don't have time. You probably have soccer practice 7 days a week, and you probably have to get dinner on the table, and you probably just don't have time.
mm. And then in that case, be easy on yourself, you're
Be
saying.
easy on yourself.
Mm,
Yes, because you still deserve to be loved. You still deserve to have kind feelings towards yourself,
mm,
irregardless of the patterns that you have, irregardless of the ability to like exercise every day or eat healthy every day, like whatever those habits might be, there needs to just be a lot of grace. There needs to be a lot of forgiveness and a lot of, I'm doing enough. The world is falling apart. It's okay if I eat these cookies.
yeah, and I think it's there is a lot of in what you're just saying, and you probably know the studies better than me, but from what I remember is that the the state, the mental state that you're in when you're doing things and when you're eating things really also has an impact on how you digest them. So if I eat cookies and I feel completely okay with that because I feel that I deserve it and it's good for me now, then even metabolically, the impact is completely different from when I eat a cookie and then I regret it a minute after that.
Oh, absolutely. And digestion and all of these things are absolutely affected by our hormones and
Mm.
our feelings and the way that we feel about ourselves. So if there could just be like, if the habit really, if anybody gets anything out of this interview and they're like, I got to pick up a new habit, speak kindly to yourself. It takes zero time. It takes zero extra time in your day. And if you could just say nice things like, wow, I'm doing my best. I did my very best at the end of the day, instead of this, oh, I didn't, like you're saying about the cookies and like how we digest things. Like, alternatively, if you're driving down the road, like so stressed, so amped up on adrenaline, and you're eating an acai bowl thinking, like, ah, this is the best thing. I'm going to get so healthy. I'm going to be the best. No, you're not. No, you're not, because your gut is full of adrenaline and hormones that are causing you to be overweight, be unhappy, be uncomfortable. It really is. If we could just start by like speaking kindly and saying, I'm so deserving of love and grace exactly where I'm at without changing even one new habit, that
Mm.
I would love for people to get that.
And if I can add to that, because sometimes it happens to me that I spill things and stuff like that. So what I do in those cases, I always say, Miss Chickinger, that was perfectly done. Okay, now let's get back.
Yes, yes, and that takes zero time. And if you
Yeah.
recognize or set it as a goal to make that as a habit,
Mm.
you'll start to recognize all the times you say things that are not nice
Yeah.
and not kind. And it's no one else in your head but yourself. So
Mm.
really, we have full control over that. And you will digest and sleep and feel better if you're just a little nicer in your
Mm.
brain.
Yeah. And just a little bit more relaxed, because that's the other thing
Yes,
I always say. If I'm stressed, if my body is stressed, there is no energy left to digest. There's no energy
exactly.
left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
Wow. Now, I do have another question to you, because you described how your mother changed once she got this illness. And I had a similar experience. My father, even before I was born, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So, over his whole lifetime, to me, he was just a sick father. And I was told by my siblings, who are much older than me, 20 years older than me, that he also turned into a different personality. So his identity really changed. Can you say more about that, and how have you personally experienced that?
Oh, I absolutely can agree that in my experience, I always wished I could say, oh, it was just the drugs that changed her, but I do think that she had a long history of mental illness. And
Mm.
so it really perpetuated the chronic illness plus the mental illness, like bipolar disorder, depression, things like that. And then just constantly being in fight or flight. If we can find a way to calm ourselves down, we make decisions from a better place. We speak differently. We act differently. And I think what happened when she did end up becoming so ill is that everything just came from this place of haste, this quick to react, quick to respond, which destroys children. Like, just instantly, because children are just so pure and so innocent. And when you have this like flip flop and unreliability, it's so uncomfortable forever. And for myself, when I got sick, I immediately started to see, well, she was acting from this like quick place of being in pain. And I could recognize that and I could feel that for myself. And maybe that was part of the point of I could never be like that.
Mhm.
I see my children as like the most, I'm like, I'm very much obsessed with my children. They're like so beautiful and so kind and so wonderful, and their hearts are so big. And like, I'm so obsessed with this like alpha generation. I just think they're so empathetic and they're so kind and wonderful. I could never have a part in undoing that.
Mhm.
So, like, that for me was like such a, like, I am seeing I'm in pain and I could have this reaction, but it will crumble my children. Or I could see like I'm in pain. I need to fix these problems at the root so that I never have to even question myself like this. And I couldn't already, because of the drug addiction issues, like I already couldn't take the drugs that they were recommending for the pain. So I always had to find alternative routes, things like really high dose chamomile. Like they make chamomile in a tincture that you have to dilute because it's so strong. I get it in Australia. And it would be like a very calming thing. I didn't drink because that is so bad for autoimmune disease. It exacerbates every inflammation in your body from alcohol will be just like so much worse. So I knew like it wasn't going to be that route either, right? So I did things like ashwagandha and really high strength
What's that?
kava. Ashwagandha is a adaptogenic herb that helps with the whole endocrine system. So like hormone regulation and things like that. So I just really dove into herbs and specifically like calming herbs because autoimmune disease, everything's like on fire. So I was trying to like calm everything down. And that was with my mood too, because I never would want to lash out or hurt somebody with my words.
This is now a very personal question, but do you think that you were already in a very high energy, high stressed out state before getting your autoimmune disease? Could that have been one of the reasons, or?
I think that's what caused the autoimmune disease. I think that becoming an adult at 11 years old,
Mm,
raising my siblings, and then really pushing myself all the way through grad school. By the time I had stopped grad school and had two children, there was nothing left of my body to give. I
mm,
imagine it like my organs were all these little raisins. Like it was just dried up. Yeah, it made sense. Adrenal fatigue. Yeah, it made sense. All brain fog, all these things. Absolutely. I think it was the constant state of survival from 11 to 27 that caused the illness.
mm.
Yes.
Now, when you're looking back now, one question is, what does being healthy mean to you today that it didn't in the past? And the other question really is, what could have helped you prevent that whole story?
Mm. I think the way that I see health now is so different than the way that I saw health then because now I'm looking at my body like this tool that will carry me as long as I want to be here. And for a long time, I dealt with suicidal ideation because when you have a mother who's so bad, it's so hard to want to stay on the planet. Like your own mom tries to take you off the planet. Like it's hard to have the thoughts of, I want to stay. So when I finally did switch into that mentality of, okay, I want to be here, health actually became this thing of my body is this vessel, this tool that will carry me as long as I want it to. So then it really switched my thinking like, oh, now it's almost as if my body is another one of my children that I have to be obsessed with. And did you eat enough? Did you sleep enough? Did you get enough to drink? No one ever cared about those things for me. I always was like taking care of myself. There were times where we were homeless, no food, no water, no shelter. There were lots and lots of times where my needs were put so far aside. And so I just didn't care so much about my body. And then when this switched my thought to I want to be here, I'm gonna thrive, I'm gonna do this life. I all of a sudden started looking at my body like, wow, this is a tool I have to take care of. So now everything is like this, like as if it was my child. I'm obsessed. And then what could have helped me? Honestly, I don't know that I could have been helped because I wasn't honest. I really never told anybody the truth about our living situation because I was trying to protect my sisters. Like, from the threat in my house was if you tell anybody what's happening, then CPS, Child Protective Services, will take you and they will separate you. And there were other threats along with that as well. Like, she would say, once they take you, this is what will happen. And it would always be like really horrendous to keep us locked in the prison. And I just lied forever and ever. And even until like therapy, like when I was going through like finally coming out of it and going to therapy, I even then was like, I don't want to talk about the past. I just need you to heal me so that I can get forward. I can go forward. I can do these things. But honestly, if there were safe people in my life, if there was someone who was safe, who really honestly cared about me and didn't just say things like, oh, you're so strong because they just didn't want to help. If there were people, I think I could have gotten helped. But what really ended up helping me was just coming to my own rescue and realizing like I have to be my own knight in shining armor and I had to save myself and no one was coming and it was up to me to really rescue myself and I really carry that now even. No one's gonna make me healthier, stronger, or eat or take care of me. I have to do that, and it's my body is this tool if I want to be here.
And you are doing it also to make sure that your children are cared for, but you're not doing it for your children, as I understand.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it had to be for me. I think because my children also serve as like a burden, right? That these things I have to take care of and they're like a responsibility that doesn't really give me like the certainty feeling of, oh, I want to stay here and learn and be a person. I do love my children, I'm obsessed with them, but they're not like the reason that I want to be alive. I
Hmm.
love them. But I have other reasons, my own personal reasons, so that they are not, they're not responsible for my emotions. And that's like another trigger for me. I tell them all the time, you're not responsible for making mommy happy. You're not responsible if I'm sad. You're not responsible if I'm angry. It's not your job. So it's also not their job to make me like want to be alive.
Yeah, because it would be a burden for them, wouldn't it be?
Absolutely.
Wow. Wow. You said if people took away just this one thing and speak more nicely to themselves, that would be great. Is there anything else that you would want to share with others because you feel that's so important to understand?
I just want to reiterate, have grace with yourself, but also if there is a version of you that you would like to become, truly, here are the action steps. Write that list. This is who I want to be.
Mhm.
Recognize that each one of those things is its own habit. Give yourself 20 to 60 days per habit and do the math. How long will it take to become that person? And when you really see 3, 5, 6, 10 years, then give grace and say, okay, I promise over the next 10 years, I will be incorporating one of these habits at a time. And in 10 years from now, I will not be where I'm standing right now. And
Mm.
that's it. That's it. Just be bold, be brave, and take one step at a time.
And take your time. Wow, that's really big. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and insight. I knew this would be a really interesting conversation. I told you.
Thank you so much.
And where can people find you and your podcast? Because you're also a podcaster, aren't you?
Yes, the best place to find me for everything that I do, I'm a publisher, I'm an author, I'm a podcaster. I help women in publishing. The best place is just my website. So sharissabradley.com. You can find links to everything from there, including the publishing house, 52 Press, and including Project Seed Money, right from the homepage.
Cool. Wow. Thank you. And of course, I will link everything in the show notes. And I can only say a big thank you. Actually, a huge thank you, Sharissa. It was wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This was Lead Well. Now, what is the one thing that you're taking away from this episode? Please share in the comments below and do share the podcast with your friends and family, but only if you like it.